Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're plunging headfirst, really, into the wonderfully chaotic, utterly charming world of Big D's, that beloved neighborhood supermarket.
That's right. Last week we touched on some of their, let's call them, ongoing challenges. Price weirdness, the whole phone drama, HR stuff, and yeah, the theft problem.
Right, even those maybe not real X-ray glasses for stalkers came up.
Exactly. And through it all, their motto is just, we're trying our best.
Which is kind of perfect, isn't it? So our mission today is to unpack a week that honestly sounds like a sitcom script. Think The Office meets Superstore.
Definitely got those vibes.
But beneath all that surface absurdity, we want to explore why Big D's, maybe, deserves to be looked at fondly. Because it really seems held together by, well, good folks just trying their best.
Let's dive in. And you really have to start with the main man, Big D himself. Bernicus Macaronis Macaroni.
Owner, boss, HR, head manager. He does it all.
He really does. Big personality, sometimes maybe a bit out of touch, but definitely full of heart, seems like.
Okay, so let's talk chaos right from the start. Bernicus forgetting to pay bills, including employee paychecks. That sounds alarming.
It does, yeah. On paper, that's a huge red flag.
So how does that happen even if it gets fixed fast? Doesn't that tank morale, or is trust just different there?
That's a great question, and it really gets to the core of Big D's. The sources say it was a quick turnaround, like the overdue bills were paid off, all are happy.
And all happy, just like that.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It's strange, but it almost highlights their resilience, like, okay, disaster averted, let's move on. The trust isn't in flawless execution. Maybe it's in the commitment to eventually make it right.
Huh. And his own work ethic seems intense. Showing up sick, wearing a questionable mask. I'm picturing something weird and telling people not to take sick time.
Yeah, the mask detail is certainly something. And from a normal HR view, that's not great.
Not great at all.
But, and this is the Big D's twist, the staff apparently didn't see it that way. The sources say his showing up actually raised inspiration in staff.
Inspiration from working sick.
It suggests this, like higher standard they hold themselves to. Leading by example, even when it's questionable. It creates this odd sort of dedication, maybe. Camaraderie through shared hardship.
Wow, okay. And speaking of standards, or lack thereof, that sign, the new sign, right at the entrance. If you don't like Big D's, then you can get out.
Huh. Yeah, not exactly welcoming in the traditional sense.
Most places would never. So what's the deal? Is it just aggressive, or is there something else going on?
Well, according to the sources, for the actual staff, it was actually inspirational.
Inspirational?
It's like this defiant statement, maybe, this is who we are, take it or leave it. It kind of rallies the team, creates an us feeling, and maybe signals to the loyal customers, you get us.
That defiance seems to run deep. It even applied to theft. Bernicus apparently cracked down, told everyone no more thefts. Simple as that.
Just issued a decree.
And the staff was ready. Sources said 3 attempts happened on day 1, and boom, dispatched.
Yep, they handled it.
But there were also mentions of questionable action. Staff being too aggressive, physically, verbally. Is that just Big D's justice, or are they crossing a line?
That's the tricky part, isn't it? Objectively, it sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Overly aggressive.
Right.
But the counter-narrative, and this is fascinating, is that most think it's justified, actually. Some customers apparently felt safer because of it.
Safer? Really?
Yeah, safer and more secure. And Bernicus's, quote, most need a good shaming, kind of sums up their unique philosophy. Maybe in that specific context, that directness works. It's definitely not textbook loss prevention.
Oh, yeah, the butter being on sale all week by mistake. Instead of the advertised sushi, that could have been a disaster.
Could have cost a lot, but Bernicus
He just chalks this up to a training issue in his notes. Always positive.
So that's not just him being quirky. It's like a management technique. You can see it that way, yeah. In a place that's maybe always a bit unstable, framing mistakes as learning opportunities instead of like punishable failures.
Yeah.
That builds psychological safety. People aren't afraid to try things, maybe. Even if it looks messy, it fosters learning over blame. That might be key to how they keep going.
That positive framing, it does make you kind of root for them, even with the chaos. But okay, beyond Big D, the staff are the real heart, right? Living that trying our best life, but often with hilarious results.
Absolutely. Their dedication is something else. I mean, look at the expansion effort. Significant overtime work. All staff pitching in after hours.
Right, making space for new aisles, even if it's mostly just roped off empty areas right now. You see the effort and ambition for growth, even if the follow-through is, well, Big D style.
Phased, let's say, phased execution. And with that expansion, new products. Beer, customers asked, they provided. The liquid lunch aisle. Sounds great.
Sounds like progress.
Yeah.
But
Then comes the classic Big D's moment. Staff are loading the beer and realize, uh-oh, Bernicus had not purchased a liquor license yet.
oh, come on, seriously. And his
I
plan,
just pick one up in the morning.
just pop down to the license store?
Pretty much. His logic was apparently the license would only matter if someone took legal action, which he determined they would likely not.
Wow. Okay, that's bold. Beyond just charmingly negligent, what's the actual risk there? Couldn't that shut them down?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Legally, it's clear-cut. Huge risk. Fines, closure, the works. But his attitude, that sort of, I don't know, misplaced trust in things just working out, it's audacious. It shows they operate by their own unwritten rules. Endearing, maybe, but super precarious.
You definitely get that unwritten rules vibe, and within that, you see individual ambition pop up. Like Johnny Cowboy, the stalker.
Yeah, suddenly shows up in a full suit on, looking really well-dressed and professional.
Aiming for inventory manager, which, get this, wasn't even a real job before he asked.
Right. It didn't exist. But leadership is actually considering the option.
What does that tell you? That they just invent a role like that?
It says a lot about their flexibility, I think. Most places would shut that down immediately. But here, initiative, even weird initiative, gets looked at. It gives employees a sense of, like, agency you probably wouldn't find in a big chain store.
And then you get the totally unscripted stuff, pure workplace gold. Chief Squiggs, head of security, takes PTO.
Scheduled PTO, yeah. Leaves a gap.
So assistant manager Chappie is suddenly on guard duty with a broom, staring down all shady customers.
You gotta love the imagery. Adapting on the fly with household tools. And while Squiggs is out, Johnny Cowboy is working the till.
Right, and then Norman, another staffer, just walks over.
Suddenly leaves their post, goes to Johnny Cowboy's register, and resumes bagging groceries while Johnny Cowboy is still there.
The sources called it extremely awkward. Norman just basically kicked Johnny Cowboy off his register without any reason. Johnny just moves to Norman's old spot looking confused.
It's that kind of slightly bizarre, unscripted interaction that happens in real workplaces, isn't it? It shows how they navigate these weird social moments, maybe without even talking about it.
Totally. But the Squiggs' absence had another weird ripple effect, didn't it?
Yeah, this is wild. With Squiggs gone, there was only one theft attempt all day, which the crew found really strange.
Okay.
So it sparked this theory. People start to wonder if there's some sort of situation going on where Chief Squiggs may actually be causing robberies to occur on purpose just to keep himself employed.
Whoa, that's quite a theory. I mean, the sources say it sounds crazy and people don't want it to be true, but they still thought it was worth investigating.
It's less about whether the theory is true, maybe, and more about the fact that it's even being discussed openly. It speaks to that close-knit, maybe slightly paranoid family atmosphere.
Yeah.
Rumors and speculation are part of how they process things. It's very human, isn't it? Way different than a corporate environment.
Definitely human. And they did adapt, bringing in Norma to help with security tasks while Squiggs was out.
Always patching things up.
And the week wraps up with this leadership meeting in the cheese aisle about the inventory manager job. Johnny Cowboy's there, dressed into the nines.
Ready to impress. But then Slurms, another stalker, just happens to wander into HR.
Coincidentally.
Right, coincidentally, wants to talk about the job and gets an on-the-spot interview.
And his pitch, talk about honesty. He basically says, I need the money, I'm financially in debt, I have a gambling problem.
And he needs to provide for 2 wives, plus a girlfriend, plus several kids, and more on the way.
He promises to dress to the tens if he gets it. He really needs this job. Is that just desperation, or is that the kind of raw honesty that Big D's somehow allows?
It's incredibly raw, isn't it? In almost any other interview, that would be an immediate no. But here it's just laid bare. It shows the real messy human struggles behind the job titles. It speaks volumes about the kind of, I don't know, acceptance or maybe just the sheer need that defines the place. Is that dedication, that humanity, even in its flaws.
It really does show you the people behind the quirky stories. But let's talk brass tacks. Despite the dedication, the finances sound terrifying.
Oh, they are. The financial situation this week was intense. After the expansion, the store had exactly $19 in the bank.
$19, wow.
Yeah, so the next day was critical. Either make money or get a loan. And Bernicus, being Bernicus, does not want to get alone and play into their game.
Of course not. $19. And remember those earlier issues, like salt for a penny? How does staff trust leadership when the bank balance is that they were understandably a little concerned, the sources say?
Understandably, anyone would be. But again, that's the big D's paradox. In a normal business, people will be polishing their resumes. Here, staff still trust the boss's judgment.
Well,
Maybe it's not about the bank balance. Maybe it's about that shared mission, the belief in Bernicus's weird knack for pulling things off. They see the value they provide, the affordable product. It's a different kind of contract, built on shared struggle and maybe hope.
hope and questionable spending. Like the brand new manager's office TV, that doesn't work at all.
And has no return policy. Perfect.
It led one staffer to ask, can we even afford to have the lights on? Which seems like a fair question.
Absolutely fair. It's like a tiny symbol of all their challenges.
Yeah.
Despite all this, the staff still try to stay positive and optimistic.
How do they manage that?
It's got to be that collective resilience, right? They see the problems, they're not blind, but they choose to focus on the effort, the team, the trying. Their spirit is like their main asset.
And somehow they pulled it off. End of the week, bills were paid on time, and the store about broke even.
A real scrappy victory. The sources called it a good week for supermarket big Ds. And breaking even for them is a good week. It shows they can make it work just barely against the odds.
So, okay, let's wrap this up. Big D's on the surface. Yeah, it looks like a total hot mess. Questionable calls, financial cliffs, bizarre staff moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But digging in, you see this incredible, unwavering optimism. You see real dedication from the staff and this deep community feel. It makes you realize maybe the real value isn't always obvious.
Right. It's not perfect. It's messy. It's chaotic. But it lives that motto. We're trying our best. And that spirit is what makes it, well, oddly beloved.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
shows that things like resilience, a sense of humor, and just pure human effort can overcome a whole lot.
And maybe this connects to something bigger. Maybe the places we end up valuing most aren't always the slickest or most efficient. Maybe they're the ones that are the most resilient, the most human, the ones that adapt in their own weird ways.
That's a really interesting thought.
So here's something for you, the listener, to think about. Where in your world, maybe in the corners that seem the most chaotic or unconventional, might you find those hidden gems of dedication, resilience, and maybe even some unexpected wisdom?